You got to understand the different personalities and ethnicities. Some people you can talk to and become your friend. Other people are direct. Like you can't BS with them. You can't small talk with them. You got to get to the point.
All of our successful guys that's what they do.
They want to explain what they did because they're proud of themselves. And then you never close the deal. Yeah, you got to be a person. You can't be a robot. They're getting robot calls all day long. Remember, they're getting spammed all day long.
That initial contact is valuable.
I get so many spam calls. So then we got into it. I was like, look, man, I'm not here to BS you. What do you want to know?
Yeah, you're the real deal. Today brought Marco on. He's been with us for a few months now. He has absolutely crushed it. And I wanted to kind of just walk his process, see what's made him so successful, the things that he has to offer. But I really wanted to talk about his process today in regards to connecting with people, how he engages with his phone calls, just closing the deal, all that fun stuff that we normally chat about. But Marco, if you would introduce yourself to the call and then we'll jump into it.
So my name's Marco Pallares. I've been in the industry about 20 years now. Started with financial home loans before the market crashed. And then when the market crashed, I was at JP Morgan. They basically laid everybody off and brought back 10% of the people to become licensed personal bankers. Luckily, I was picked because I'm bilingual. Once I got licensed in was it 08, 09 timeframe, I learned about planning. Usually in the bank, you have to offer JP Morgan product. You do have annuities available, which with AIG, but you're not pushed to sell anything other than JP Morgan products, which at the time, was great until the market crashed, and then people started getting a bad taste in their mouth. And then when I sat down with the VP and say, how come we don't offer these other products? Well, we got to keep people in JP Morgan funds. Whether we switch them from bond funds to aggressive funds, that's the goal. So that's why it kind of, turned me off when people were coming in and closing their accounts and just walking away. And a couple of months later, people were walking in and turning in their keys to their cars and houses because they couldn't afford them. That turned me to more changing fields and to retirement planning, and I've been there ever since because that can protect people's assets in retirement and help them retire with confidence.
You looked at it from a people perspective, not your company's perspective, which is what makes you a great agent. I feel like you're wanting to help people,
and that's the goal. A lot of times people get commission breath, and people can sense that. If you tell them, "Hey, I'm here to help you," when you is pointing you in a different direction, that's okay with me. I don't want to put you in a bad position because I've seen what happens, and that's when I go into my Chase background, and voila, they like me now.
One of the things that we've talked about a lot in these calls with other agents is the psychology of this, this whole process. How important to that aspect is this whole process to you?
Well, you got to understand the different personalities and ethnicities. Some people you can talk to and become your friend. Other people are direct. Like you can't BS with them. You can't small talk with them. You got to get to the point. If you're talking to an engineer, you got to be like, all right, I can only present 2 options. Because if you said 3, you'll never hear from them again. Whatever you send them or show them, they're going to create their own spreadsheet. And then when they talk to you again, they want to explain what they did because they're proud of themselves. And then you never close the deal. So with people that are engineer-minded, you got to get to the point and show the pros and cons. But when you're talking to a family, let's say a husband and wife, you got to make sure the wife is on the line as well. Even though the husband may love the deal, if she doesn't know you or, sense that you're a good person, feels like, no, I'm not comfortable, no matter how good it is.
Since you started this with us, how much has your process changed or your approach changed, if it has at all? Any differences between how you did things before to now?
Well, before, from my other lead sources, it was mainly annuity-based, and we had appointment setters. Here, I'm calling people. The number one goal to get someone on your phone is to get a first appointment. Okay, the goal of the first appointment is getting to the second appointment. So now, knowing everything off the top of your head and being able to talk about it and ask just short questions. You're like, you fill this form in online. Do you have an advisor? And be like, yeah. Okay, what did they say when you asked them about it? Then you shut up. Be like, well, that's not what they do. Oh, perfect. So that means I can help. Well, the next step is this. So when you ask people how come they're not dealing with their current advisor, it stops them in their tracks and be like, well, he doesn't do that. Whether it's taxes, whether it's retirement planning, whether it's safe.
So you find that with these leads, that direct approach is better than that initial contact is valuable.
Yeah, you got to be a person. You can't be a robot. They're getting robot calls all day long. Remember, they're getting spammed all day long.
Oh, yeah.
So you got to be the opposite. I'm a real person.
What does your calling structure look like with your leads, before you even make contact with them? What does that look like for you?
I read the notes and I try to find out where they're at. Lately, there's been a lot of people fake names, and then I look them up and they're licensed agents. So, I'll call them just to mess with them. I get so many spam calls. So then we got into it. I was like, look, man, I'm not here to BS you. What do you want to know? Obviously you talked to your advisor. Well, did he couldn't help? He goes, no, he couldn't. This is what I need. So then,
That's
we broke the
fantastic.
ice, and then next thing you know, he's like, okay, I was like, let's get on Zoom so I'm a real person. I don't just want to talk on the phone. When are you available? The next couple days. So the first call is to get them to a Zoom so they can see me and know that I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, you're the real deal. How aggressive would you say assertive are you with your calling structure? Like, what's your touch points before you're like, I'll put them on a nurture sequence or something?
I'll still call them until they tell me not to. Okay, because I had a lady that for months, and then I was calling her, and she opted out of the messages. But I finally got a hold of her. She goes, yeah, I've been out of town. This is what happened. Blah blah blah. I was like, well, I had to keep calling. She goes, I'm glad you did, because you're the only one who actually leave messages. I don't just hang up. I like leaving messages because then they know my voice. Okay? I don't do it every time, but I leave messages at least once a week. Say, hey, just trying to get a hold of you. Even if you want me to stop calling you, say, stop calling me, and I will stop. It's okay.
No, that's good. All of our successful guys that's what they do. They like, it's always in the pot. It's always in the pot because it's always a possibility until they say, no, it's not a possibility. Do you do any triple dialing or double dialing?
I do double dialing, and then I do a message. I'll send one of the videos, and then I'll call back the next day. And then if it's a voicemail, real voicemail, I'll leave a voicemail. And if I leave a voicemail, I won't call it for 2 days. But if the voicemail is generic, then I'll call from my cell phone, and then I'll find out it's a computer line, so it's fake anyway. So
have you heard of Jeremy? Jeremy does it where if he calls from his cell phone and they haven't been picking up for a while, if they happen to be an Apple number, he'll FaceTime them because people will pick up. They don't necessarily turn their camera on, but they're not expecting you, a financial advisor, calling them on FaceTime. He talked a lot about branding himself and how that helps him establish connection with people and establish that trust and all that. Speaking of, on that topic, like I know you got resources out the wazoo. You've got stuff from every angle and video material and all that kind of stuff. How do you introduce yourself and your company? What material do you use? Like, at what point in this whole thing do you dump that at people? Do you even send it to them prior to connecting with them? No. I know you send them the other videos, but
as soon as we get on the first Zoom meeting, then I have everything to show them. Whether we're going the annuity route, whether we're going income route, I have everything saved. And then after our first Zoom meeting, and then I'll send them that. Now, if we do a phone call and they're hesitant, depending what state they're in, I'll send them my bio and then my state license for that state. Mm-hmm. Okay. And then once I get them on Zoom meeting, I pulled up my whole NIPPER report. I said, look, I'm licensed in 48 states. Let me tell you why. And now they're like, oh, really? And then I'll show the companies that I'm working with as a partner. This one's A+ rated on the Better Business Bureau. This insurance company's this, that. And I get letters from the carriers saying that I'm an agent representative of them. Now, every carrier has their own marketing material, which you can customize and put your own data on there with your NIPPER number, with your agent code, and basically you're part of that entity. Even though you're a contractor, you're part of that company because they underwrite you as the agent and they underwrite policy as insurance contract. So if you explain it the right way, they're going to understand. And the reason they do that is because now, rather than having employees all over the country where it's really expensive, they contract out so they don't have to pay that high of overhead. What that means to you is you have better products available rather than this company paying all this overhead. So explain it the right way, it makes sense to them why the business is ran this way. My favorite one is saying, I have State Farm on my house and my cars. I don't pay the agent, I pay State Farm and they pay the agent. But when I call, I talk to that agent. So he's my representative. That's what I'm going to be to you.
That's how you explain your fees or how you make money. You're not out for their money.
See, most advisors will do the opposite. They're going to charge you for their services, whether they're right or wrong. There's certain points where you have to pause, let them think. So silence is deadly on the phone and silence is deadly on a Zoom call. Some people overtalk themselves. You gotta let them think.
I've heard that over and over. I've seen agents learn it in this whole process of joining us where they're like, they come in hot and heavy and excited about the products and they're showing all their stuff and they're telling all the great things about it. And they learned after a few months of not getting a deal closed going, I need to just stop talking for a minute. What would you say would be your top 3 things in that first call that you want to make sure you either address, drive home, or gather, information wise?
You have to know the objections and bring them up first. Whoever brings up the objection first wins. So if the client brings them up, that means they don't trust you already, right? So I bring up the objections is, why would you do business with me, right? And I tell them, hey, I'm a licensed agent, I'm vetted. Here's my family. Here's what I do. Here's what I expert. If you wanted to double your money overnight in the stock market, I'm not your guy. Go find another broker. The reason you reached out to us is because you either asked your financial advisor or you don't trust your financial advisor to do it, or I wouldn't be on the phone. So by bringing up the objections first, then they're going to open up. And you tell them, hey, my product's not for everybody, and they may not be for you. It's okay. Fast no is better than a slow yes. I want to know that.
Yeah.